The resonant shouts of the two elders of heaven and earth and Dongxian echoed throughout the space within the ancient tree. Break it down. Suppress it. They were locked in a fierce clash of overwhelming power, each unable to gain the upper hand. On one side, a golden ancient bell radiated an aura of absolute suppression, while on the other, an immense, dark green palm exuded a destructive force capable of shattering anything in its path. Ling Mingxing and Elder Qing watched as the two forces held each other in a deadlock, creating a somewhat comical scene where the green palm was pressed against the golden bell, neither relenting. "This," Elder Qing muttered, sensing the sheer intensity of the clash. He knew neither the two elders of heaven and earth nor Dongxian were opponents he could currently handle. After a moment, he gritted his teeth and asked, "Should we intervene?" "Not yet," Ling Mingxing replied, shaking his head. Though the two elders of heaven and earth are a bit weaker than Dongxian, their combined strength brings them close to the peak of Do Di. Their merged Do skill magnifies their power exponentially. They should manage against him. He continued, "Besides, if we rashly step in, the impact from their clash might harm even us. As 9-star Do Di level experts, even we could end up seriously injured if caught between their attacks." Impressive, Ling Mingxing marveled. The power of their Do skill fusion, they could nearly rival a Do Xian. Dongxian, sweat beading on his forehead from the strain of resisting the two elders, let out a wry smile. "Did you forget that I'm a true Do Xian?" He had reached his limit and decided it was time to use his hidden trump card. "Finally willing to bring out your last-ditch strength?" The two elders of heaven and earth were also feeling the strain. Channeling the force of life and death to maintain the golden bell was taxing, especially against a genuine Do Xian like Dongxian. Break! In an instant, an intense burst of wood energy surged from Dongxian, with a radiant green light emanating from him. The ancient tree seemed to respond with joy as the once fading powers from the two elders' attacks dissipated into shimmering stardust, softly cascading down. "Now!" Seeing this, the two elders signaled Ling Mingxing and Elder Qing. The four immediately launched their deadly attacks against Dongxian. "You're too late." Dongxian seemed to have anticipated their response and smiled calmly as he spoke. At that moment, countless faint energies began to awaken throughout the forest. Though each one was individually weak, together, they formed a formidable force. Outside the ancient tree, Mu Shuzi and Xian Muqing noticed the surrounding flora stirring to life. Each tree and plant exuded a hint of human energy, an oddity in itself. Despite their confusion, they realized that the combined power of the entire forest was no small force. "This Dongxian fellow certainly has confidence in his strength," observed Finchen, laughing softly. "Lord Pavilion Master, should we assist?" asked Zhu Jin, his concern apparent. He worried that Ling Mingxing and the others might struggle against Dongxian and readied himself to intervene. "This forest has already become Dongxian's domain," Finchen replied, his tone appreciative. "It's impressive. Though he hasn't quite mastered the power of a full domain, he's using the unique properties of the forest to wield similar influence." Upon hearing this, Zhu Jin calmed down, realizing the gravity of their situation. With a sharp swish, the four launched simultaneous attacks against Dongxian. Within the ancient tree's inner space, staircases formed from leaves suddenly disintegrated, and countless leaves gathered protectively around Dongxian. "This guy," Elder Tian muttered, astonished. "Do Xian or not, we four aren't pushovers," Elder Di growled, his gaze steely as he glared at Dongxian. Dongxian chuckled. "Allow me to properly welcome you to my realm of wood." A twisted smile appeared on his lips as he invoked his full strength. In response, all vegetation within the ancient tree's inner domain stirred to life. Here, within this space, Dongxian held the advantage of an invincible domain. In just a few breaths, countless leaves encircled Dongxian, forming massive wind blades charged with destructive energy. The ancient tree's inner space trembled, on the verge of collapse, as the wind blades launched toward the four. Dongxian's Docian power is wood-based. He can manipulate all the forest's plants to fight for him, drawing from the life force of the trees. The strength of a Dou Xian master in their own domain is akin to standing in an invincible position, Elder Qing observed, unable to hold back his words as he witnessed the sudden scene before him. Misjudged, Ling Mingxing muttered, seeing the enormous wind blade, formed of leaves, close in on the four of them. The blade carried a powerful force. Mere contact would likely result in severe injuries. Since it's come to this, we'll make one final gamble. The two elders of heaven and earth, and Elder Qing. We four all possess fire attributes, and fire conquers wood. If we combine our strengths, we might just have a sliver of hope. Facing a desperate situation, Ling Mingxing remained calm and composed. Heh, then let's go down fighting together. The two elders of heaven and earth exchanged a faint smile. It was clear to them that with Dong Xian now unleashing his true Dou Xian power, none of them alone could defeat him. Their only option was to join forces. What do we do? Elder Qing, sensing the gravity of the situation, asked directly. Simple. Channel your power into me. A glint of madness flickered in Ling Mingxing's eyes as he focused intently on Dong Xian, who hovered above them like a king. Understood. The two elders and Elder Qing immediately replied, showing no hesitation. The force of life and death surged out from their bodies, converging toward Ling Mingxing. At the same time, the black and white forces of life and death within Ling Mingxing began to merge, slowly blending into a perfectly balanced unity. This fusion birthed a terrifying power, akin to the Dou Xian force in Dong Xian's immense wind blade. Forcing your strength to half-step Dou Xian by drawing on others, this is merely a shortcut, Dong Xian sneered. Take your regrets with you to hell. With a slow clench of his hand, the enormous wind blade engulfed the four of them, their life forces disappearing without a trace. A few arrogant whelps, Dong Xian muttered coldly, watching Ling Mingxing and his companions being utterly consumed by his Dou Xian wind blade. In the aftermath, as the fierce blade gradually calmed, Dong Xian's expression darkened. He could see no remains of the four. Damn it! If these four are really dead, how will I report to the Xinling King? Realizing this, Dong Xian flew to the spot where they had vanished, searching thoroughly. So that's his plan. Outside, Zhu Jin observed that in the last moments, Ling Mingxing, with the combined strength of Elder Qing and the two elders of heaven and earth, had temporarily reached the half-step Dou Xian level. He chuckled. That ability was Ling Mingxing's signature move. Even Dong Xian with his early one-star Dou Xian strength, or their own Incense Pavilion Master with his two-star Dou Xian power, would be at risk if caught off guard by it. Well, it's settled then. With these four utterly gone, the Xinling King will soon get the news. I'll check again when the time comes, Dong Xian concluded, finding no traces of Ling Mingxing and his companions, and turned to leave. Heh, Dong Xian, in a rush to go somewhere? Just as Dong Xian was about to return to the top of the ancient tree, a voice, eerie as death itself, echoed from within. Who's there? Show yourself. Dong Xian's eyes flashed coldly, filled with vigilance. This ancient tree was his domain. Yet he sensed nothing of the person who had spoken. The implications were clear. The speaker's strength might surpass his own. Among Dou Xian, even a single level of difference could mean life or death. Heh, who else? The voice materialized into a figure. Ling Mingxing? Dong Xian stared in disbelief at the reappeared figure, who he'd seen obliterated in his Dou Xian wind blade moments ago. And yet, here they stood, dead. With your pathetic skills, you think you could kill us? Ling Mingxing replied, with a hint of disdain. You. Rage surged through Dong Xian. Elder Qing was the weakest of the four. If not for Ling Mingxing's presence, Dong Xian would have crushed him instantly. Your attack is indeed powerful, Ling Mingxing said, but you don't know the strength of my death-summoning flame. He raised his calloused hand, a tiny black and white flame flickering upon it. This small flame wasn't like typical fire. It was a unique energy flame, forged by a fusion of the life and death forces. Death-summoning flame? In the next moment, Dong Xian's once arrogant expression vanished, replaced by dread. Though Dong Xian was not a native of the Xinling continent, his many years there had given him a deep understanding of the things worth fearing on this land. Among the powerful factions across the mystic three heavens, many sects reigned supreme, but Dongxian hardly paid them any mind. Yet, there were 10 figures infamous throughout the realms, beings feared even by these top sections. What Dongxian had just mentioned, Death Summoning Flame, was none other than the signature move of the 5th-ranked figure among these 10 fearsome masters. When the Death Summoning Flame appears, it ensnares souls and seals destinies. This phrase encapsulated the fearsome reputation of the 5th-ranked master. Unlike other flames such as heavenly flames or sacred flames, the Death Summoning Flame was a unique form of energy. It was said that, under specific conditions, this energy could bypass any defense and deliver a fatal blow with a single strike, hence the origin of its name. Mengxing has resorted to that technique, Xian Muqing murmured outside the ancient tree. Before meeting Xian Muqing, Ling Mengxing had been notorious across the mystic three heavens as the 5th-ranked ruthless master among the 10 elites. However, after meeting her, he had greatly restrained his violent tendencies. With the death-summoning flame unleashed, Dongxian's days are numbered, Mu Shuzi remarked knowingly. Mu Shuzi was well aware that Ling Mengxing's mastery of this fearsome technique was what made him so dreaded. In the past, Mengxing had even managed to slay a half-step Docian using it. Back then, Mengxing was merely at the level of a 9-star Do D, but now, with the combined support of 3 others, his strength had risen to the level of a half-step Do Xian. At such a level, even a true Do Xian could not take Mengxing lightly. Dongxian, you've done countless wicked deeds in the name of the Xinling royal family over the years. Today, I'll send you straight to hell. Ling Mengxing poured every ounce of his power into the technique, ensuring that this attack would not fail. Such arrogance! Dongxian, despite the fear gnawing at him, forced himself to appear calm and sneered in response. Die! Ling Mengxing smiled, shrugging slightly. In the next moment, a small black and white flame, no larger than a human eye, shot toward Dongxian. Boom! 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 Wherever the black and white flame passed, space itself shattered, and even the surrounding spiritual energy froze solid. You wretch! Break! Bloodshot eyes wide with rage, Dongxian thrust both hands forward. In an instant, a brilliant Do Xian force coalesced into a 10-layered barrier in front of him. Bypass my defense? Impossible! Dongxian refused to believe the rumors. A mere 9-star Do D, even at his peak, could only achieve such feats through exaggerated hearsay. He would prove these rumors wrong. If I survive this attack, you'll be the one to die. The moment of truth arrived. Ling Mengxing's black and white flame cut through the air, its power fully unleashed. As it approached Dongxian's barrier, the layers of defense crumbled, each shattered without resistance, as though they never existed. What? Dongxian's eyes widened in disbelief as the flame pierced his chest effortlessly. Thud! The flame passed through his body, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. His expression shifted from anger to terror as the strength of his Do Xian power ebbed away. A single strike, lethal and unrelenting. How? How can this be? Dongxian's mind raced even as his life force slipped away, unable to comprehend how he had been slain. His body fell lifelessly toward the ground beneath the ancient tree. Far away, in the depths of the 7th layer of the underground palace, a pair of ancient eyes slowly opened, those of Elder Xian. He murmured quietly, Dongxian is dead. In the shadows, a sinister figure, Dark Knight Ghost Immortal, grinned. It seems the incense pavilion has made their move after all. Proceed according to plan, Elder Xian said with a calm smile, as if everything had unfolded exactly as expected. Yet, unbeknownst to him, the Dragon Devourer Legion had already been secretly mobilized by the Xinling King. Within the 7th layer, a mysterious man bound by countless chains sighed. Finchen, you're walking right into a trap. Watching Dongxian's lifeless body hit the ground, Elder Qing and the 2 elders of heaven and earth exchanged glances, smiling in relief. It's over, they said in unison. Having poured all their energy into supporting Ling Mengxing, the 3 allies were now nearly depleted. Had they failed, the incense pavilion schemes would have been prematurely exposed. Are you all right? Xian Muqing and Mu Shuzi immediately rushed in to support the four as they descended to the base of the ancient tree, their strength scattered. "We're fine, let's go." "We need to leave," Ling Mingxing said before promptly departing. "Recover your strength here," Fan Tian said, tossing a few high-quality pills toward the group of four. They caught and swallowed them immediately, and their strength began to visibly recover at a rapid pace. "My death-summoning flame can bypass defenses, but it's only effective against a few unprepared enemies," Ling Mingxing stated after regaining some force of life and death. "And Dong Xian isn't fully dead," he added. "I know. It's not that easy to kill a Docian expert," someone responded. "But never mind that. If we can kill him once, we can do it again in the future. To truly eliminate Dong Xian, it may require both Zhu Jin and myself," Ling Mingxing continued. "We've already broken through the 6th level of the underground palace, and the 7th level is right ahead. We can't afford to expose ourselves," Fan Tian said, shaking his head. "There must be something in this ancient tree." The two elders of heaven and earth suddenly spoke up. "Whatever it is, it's likely at the crown of the tree, and it must be valuable," Fan Tian confirmed, sensing the hidden treasure above. In just a few breaths, the four had mostly restored their force of life and death. "Someone's coming," Elder Qing suddenly alerted. "Let's avoid unnecessary trouble," Fan Tian decided. To the 7th level of the underground palace. Despite knowing the approaching figure was merely a powerful 8-star Dodi, the urgency of saving Yin Qi made them abandon any thoughts of confronting Dong Xian or seizing the treasure in the tree crown. With a brief exchange of glances, they silently headed for the 7th level, unaware that it had become a deadly trap. "Where's Dong Xian?" The moment the group left, a man emerged and muttered as he reached the ancient tree. "Why are there so many different energies here?" he wondered aloud, having sensed numerous distinct forces. "Could there be enemies?" He sniffed the air again and murmured, "I need to report this to the Xinling King immediately." This newcomer was Wan Zi, who had witnessed Dong Xian's downfall and rushed over to inspect. Dong Xian was a Docian expert, critically important to the Xinling royal family. Wan Zi had stumbled upon the scene by chance, leading to this unexpected encounter. However, lacking the strength of a Docian, Wan Zi wasn't aware that Dong Xian hadn't been completely slain. As Wan Zi left, a frail figure emerged from within the ancient tree. "Damn Wan Zi, serving the Xinling King on one hand and Elder Xian on the other. Whose side is he really on?" the shadow cursed. "Whatever. I underestimated the power of the death-summoning flame," the figure muttered. "This body is probably ruined beyond repair. It seems I'll have to ask the Xinling King to forge a new one." Ling Mingxing, Incense Pavilion. "I, Dong Xian, swear that in this life, our grudge will end only with your destruction." Despite his dim and lifeless form, Dong Xian's faint soul energy still resonated with determination. Although Ling Mingxing's attack had been potent, it had only destroyed the life force in Dong Xian's body. His soul remained severely injured but intact. For a Docian expert, even a sliver of a soul could offer a chance at resurrection. "Sorry, but I don't think you'll get that chance," a mocking voice sounded, encircling Dong Xian's weakened soul as he prepared to leave the 6th level and seek the Xinling King. "Who's there?" Dong Xian exclaimed, alarmed. He had suppressed his aura and assumed Wan Zi's arrival had forced Ling Mingxing and his group to retreat. But now, someone else had arrived. Through the tone of the voice, Dong Xian could sense a massive soul power. "Death's envoy," the voice identified itself. Next, a brilliant ancient ruler with heavenly flames flickered to life in the speaker's hand. A grinning figure stared at Dong Xian's injured soul. Beside this figure stood a beautiful woman, gracefully holding the frost and snow immortal sword, gazing at Dong Xian with the same malicious intent. It was at this moment that Dong Xian truly understood despair. "Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!" Dong Xian roared 3 times in fury. "The Golden Dragon King's revival requires a human body, and your early 1-star Docian body is far superior to that of a mere 6-star Dodi. Enough. I'll fight you to the end." Dong Xian, realizing his doom was likely sealed today, forced himself to spit out the words. "Thinking of self-destructing?" Xiao Yan, with his powerful soul force, sensed the faint turbulence in Dong Xian's soul and spoke calmly. Frost and snow. Yingying, seeing the danger, unleashed 3 sharp strikes filled with the force of life and death, cutting off every escape route for Dong Xian. Huang Chuan's fury. Xiao Yan smiled slightly, and a sudden soul attack burst forth. Arg! Dong Xian's already weakened soul was dealt a crushing blow by Xiao Yan, leaving him utterly drained. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I can give you whatever you want. Dong Xian, knowing he had no way out, began to beg for mercy. That won't be necessary. With that, Xiao Yan's eternal ruler, shimmering with the power of the imperial flame, was poised to extinguish the last remnants of Dong Xian's soul. Though Dong Xian was an early 1-star Do Xian, his body had perished, and his soul had suffered severe damage, rendering him defenseless even against a mere 6-star Do D. Just as Xiao Yan prepared to annihilate Dong Xian's remaining soul, the Devourer talisman within his storage ring emitted a sudden pull, directly absorbing Dong Xian's soul. Arg! Don't devour me. Dong Xian's scream lasted barely a breath before the mighty early 1-star Do Xian met his ultimate end. A Do Xian body, Xiao Yan observed. A fine find. He carefully used the sacred flame to preserve Dong Xian's remains. There's something up there. After Xiao Yan finished, Yingying, holding her immortal sword, spoke with a hint of suspicion. I sensed it too. Once Xiao Yan confirmed Dong Xian's complete demise, he looked up toward the top of the ancient tree, where a distinctly ancient aura lingered. Xiao Yan remembered his uncle, the Golden Dragon King, once mentioning that the 6th level of this underground palace contained the mother essence of the celestial Bodhi tree, an essential item for saving the Golden Dragon King. Whatever the cost, he needed to investigate. With ease, Xiao Yan and Yingying made their way up, concealed behind the incense pavilion's forces. Thanks to the guardians being occupied, Xiao Yan felt no burden in advancing. Skillfully suppressing their aura, Xiao Yan kept them undetected by the incense pavilion. Let's go. They exchanged a glance, then began ascending the staircase woven from leaves. Devourer of souls, isn't this a bit much? The Golden Dragon King's voice echoed from within Xiao Yan's storage ring. Watching the Devourer of Souls absorb Dong Xian's soul with a lazy tone of disapproval. You've already devoured the extraterritorial evil clan. Now a Do Xian soul too? I'm merely strengthening myself, the Devourer of Souls replied, clearly wary of the Golden Dragon King, a formidable leader among dragons, whom he'd be hard-pressed to rival even at his peak. You move fast, don't you? The Golden Dragon King remarked. Haha. In the ghost realm, nearly all beings are soul forms, so absorbing their essence is how we grow stronger. The Devourer of Souls explained quickly. All souls, huh? I remember Xiao Yan mentioning that the soul hall in his lower plane is also composed of soul beings. I wonder if there's a connection. The Golden Dragon King mused aloud. With the Golden Dragon King's departure, the Devourer of Souls slowly digested Dong Xian's formidable Do Xian soul, a rare and potent boon for him. With the mother of the celestial Bodhi tree, I'll restore my peak soul strength. Then I'll have Xiao Yan craft a new body, and it'll be time to settle some old scores. Xiao Yan's strength is nearly ready. I can leave without worry, but a few matters must be dealt with first. The Golden Dragon King's thoughts drifted. Yin Qi, it's been so long, and I never expected you to be trapped in such a perilous place. This space truly is mysterious, Xiao Yan remarked as he and Yingying reached the ancient tree's crown. Upon arrival, they both noticed a seal barring the entrance. It was green and clearly had been placed by Dong Xian. The seal here seems to be preventing whatever's inside from leaking its aura, Xiao Yan said, his vast soul power alerting him immediately to the anomaly. Leave it to me. Not long after, Yingying raised her hand, and the frost and snow immortal sword in her palm shimmered. She casually waved it a few times at the seal in front of them. With just a few light strokes, the seemingly impenetrable seal shattered. What appeared to be a simple strike was, in fact, an attack derived from the sword spirit of the immortal sword. Since obtaining the frost and snow immortal sword, Yingying had been inseparable from it, always keeping it at her side. The sword spirit, forged by Master Lu, had remained hidden within, never revealing itself. Xiao Yan could tell, though, that Yingying wielded the sword and connected with the sword spirit quite naturally, without any awkwardness. Shua, shua. As the seal broke, an intensely rich fragrance poured from the space previously sealed at the tree's crown. The aroma was intoxicating, as if nourishing their very souls. Let's go in. Sensing the overwhelming fragrance, Xiao Yan exchanged a glance with Yingying. There was no doubt, there was a treasure within. The two of them immediately dashed inside, and once again, Xiao Yan's soul power surged, sealing the entrance behind them. With such a rich fragrance, it would be troublesome if others were drawn here. What a beautiful tree crown! Yingying exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. They had reached the top of the ancient tree, where they found a space about 100 zhang wide. The energy here was saturated with the wood element, an ideal place for wood element practitioners to cultivate, greatly enhancing their progress. Moreover, the crown was adorned with intricate and naturally formed decorations. These decorations, though clearly made of wood, appeared flawless, as if crafted by nature itself. At the very center of the tree crown, a small green hump about a meter high was covered by intertwined branches and leaves, obscuring whatever lay inside. But Xiao Yan knew that within it lay the greatest treasure of the 6th level of this underground palace, the mother of the celestial Bodhi tree. There, such a strong soul force. Yingying pointed towards the crown. Let's take a closer look. Xiao Yan nodded cautiously. Though he didn't understand why Zhu Jin and the others hadn't taken the treasure, Xiao Yan remained vigilant. The celestial Bodhi tree was legendary. Even the allure of a doe soul paled in comparison to it. What an overwhelming soul force, they both remarked in awe as they approached. It really is the mother of the celestial Bodhi tree, Xiao Yan confirmed after a moment of careful observation. Though the branches and leaves enveloped it, the aura of soul power and its unique form were unmistakable to Xiao Yan. Mother of the celestial Bodhi tree? Yingying asked, puzzled. This is a treasure that can completely restore the soul power of those severely injured in spirit, Xiao Yan explained, understanding her confusion. In that case, it's yours, Yingying said without hesitation, recognizing Xiao Yan's greater need for the treasure as an alchemist who depended on soul power far more than she did. If you insist, I won't say no. Xiao Yan smiled, channeling his soul power to collect the entire crown, along with the mother of the celestial Bodhi tree, and stored it in his storage ring. At the same time, Yingying, standing beside him, spoke up. It was clear that she had some reservations about the eerie power of Xiao Yan's soul-devouring sigil, especially after witnessing him take Dong Xian's corpse earlier. Yet, she didn't voice her concerns. Sensing Yingying's unease, Xiao Yan lightly explained, those dark, sinister forces that have appeared in me before aren't mine. You don't need to explain. I already know, Yingying replied with a soft smile. You're not worried that I might truly be evil? Xiao Yan asked with a faint smile. If you are, then you're the evil I choose to follow. Her cheeks flushed as she said this, then she darted out of the ancient tree. What a peculiar thing to say, Xiao Yan muttered, shaking his head before following her. He knew that once they left this place, the real challenge would begin. As they left the 6th level of the underground palace, the group led by Burning Heaven made their way deeper towards its core. Along the way, Ling Mingxing suddenly turned to Burning Heaven and asked, Pavilion Master, I've heard that Yanji has a sister? Yanqi does indeed have a sister, Finchen shook his head, but neither you, nor even I, have ever seen her. This? Ling Mingxing shook his head and fell silent. But one rumor is true. Yanqi was, in fact, once a sacred flame before cultivating into human form. After a moment, Finchen finally chose to reveal this truth. What? Ling Mingxing exclaimed, and even the always calm Zhu Jin couldn't help but tremble. Are you saying Yanqi was once one of the sacred flames, listed on the sacred flame chart? In the vast realms, powerful mystical entities nearing the strength of a Dou Xian possess the potential to cultivate into human form. However, for such entities to reach Dou Xian strength, they must first awaken sentience and spend nearly 10,000 years cultivating. Once successful, They revert to a level akin to a one-star Do-D. Indeed, Finchen nodded. Yet sacred flames are unlike other mystical beings. While certain herbs that transform into human form retain their original essence, inheriting its spiritual attributes, sacred flames are different. There exist only 36 sacred flames across the great thousand worlds. If a sacred flame assumes human form, its life essence remains inseparable. It is their very life. So, to obtain the sacred flame within Yin Qi, one would have to kill him, Finchen said coldly. That's quite astonishing, Ling Mingxing and the others murmured, visibly taken aback. I recall reading that there might be another way to acquire a sacred flame. Xin Muqing's eyes gleamed as she remembered an ancient text she had once encountered. What method? Ling Mingxing asked. Sacrifice, she replied softly. Sacrifice? Elder Qing immediately shook his head. Impossible. The sacred flame lineage is known as the bane of the extraterritorial evil clan, and they're prideful by nature. A true sacrifice would have to be entirely willing, highly unlikely. It's true that sacred flames have never taken that path, Xian Muqing admitted, but that's just what I read. I don't know if it's true. Muqing may have a point, Tian Lao added thoughtfully. If a powerful entity cornered Yin Qi with no other escape, he might sacrifice his sacred flame essence to prevent it from falling into the hands of an enemy. Let's go, someone urged. The entrance to the 7th layer of the underground palace lies just ahead, our last stop. Ling Mingxing and the others proceeded toward the 7th layer, joined by Mu Shuzi and Xian Muqing, while Finchen and Zhu Jin remained hidden in the shadows. The dark waters churned, shrouded in pitch-black obscurity, and within these ominous currents stood an ancient stone statue, the first king of the Xianling royal family. He had been petrified by Medusa's petrifying eye centuries ago, yet remained preserved in this form within a sealed chamber reinforced by a potent power. Yin Qi, a gaunt old man standing before him, murmured, Finchen won't escape this time. After so many failed attempts, I finally lost hope of bringing you under my control. Yet, if I can bring about Finchen's ruin, it'll be worth it. Old Xian, your Xianling royal family are little more than Ghost Realm lackeys. You lost to our incense pavilion once before, and you'll lose again today. Yin Qi sneered, his face dark with disdain despite his shackles. Now, Xian Lao chuckled. When Finchen last went into seclusion, he was only a late-stage one-star Docian. Even if he's improved remarkably, he can only be at best a peak one-star Docian now. You, of all people, should know the vast gulf between levels among Docian. Truly despicable, Yin Qi shot back coldly. To seek revenge, you've stooped to partnering with the Ghost Realm. Your Xianling royal family has plunged mystic 3 heavens into chaos. History favors the victor, Xian Lao replied smoothly. The Xianling royal family's ambitions reach far beyond just the Xianling continent. Our alliance with Dark Knight Ghost Immortal serves our goals. They get what they need. We get what we want. It's mutual gain. Yin Qi snorted. Why not just kill him directly and take the sacred flame's essence? Murmured the Dark Knight Ghost Immortal, hidden in the shadows, with a cold, eerie chuckle. That's impossible, replied Elder Xian. The sacred flame within Yinji has been fused with him for so long. If we recklessly attack him, he might inadvertently trigger an explosion of the sacred flame, reducing our entire Xianling royal family to ashes. Also, Yinji has transformed from the sacred flame into human form. Extracting the sacred flame essence from him would be like ripping out one's heart and soul, certain death. We've been struggling for years to find a solution, but killing him remains beyond our reach, Elder Xian continued. You mean none of you have managed to kill him? Asked the Dark Knight Ghost Immortal, puzzled. Feel free to try if you doubt it. If he were that easy to kill, the sacred flame wouldn't still be constrained here, Elder Xian remarked calmly. Transformed into a human? The Dark Knight Ghost Immortal was taken aback by Elder Xian's words. From his hidden vantage, the Dark Knight Ghost Immortal remained unseen, but the revelation left him visibly shocked. For a unique entity like Sacred Flame to take human form, it would require Do Xian level power and a tribulation, one so fierce that even I would hesitate. Originally, Yingying was the sacred flame itself. For reasons unknown, he chose to take on a human form. Becoming human indeed prolongs their life, but when we first found him, there was another, weaker sacred flame nearby. Yingying had fought fiercely to protect it, allowing it to escape. I believe that as long as Yingying exists, that other sacred flame will eventually return. A peculiar energy shimmered across Elder Xian's silver-white robe as he spoke. Legend has it that when sacred flames transform into humans, their essence becomes as vital as their heart and soul. If anyone tries to seize this essence, Yingying will die instantly. In other words, to truly gain his sacred flame, one would have to kill him first. Yet, even bound as he is, the entire Xinling royal family couldn't kill Yingying. His sacred flame power must be truly terrifying. Dark Knight, Ghost Immortal pondered silently. For now, hold back. I'll take the lead, Elder Xian instructed, casting an invisible barrier around Yingying to prevent him from alerting anyone. They're coming.